Hey everyone, this is Todd with Industrial Comfort. Today I'm going to show you how to change the rotors and pads on this 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now generally speaking, the process is the same for ranges of Jeeps, as an example 2013 to 2020. So I'm hoping this video will be helpful. A lot of folks think that this is a fairly intimidating process, which it really isn't. So to get started, I'm going to loosen up the lug nuts while the car or the tires are on the ground. If not, the wheel will just rotate as you try to loosen the lug nuts. So we'll get these loose, we'll jack up the car, and then we'll finish taking the lug nuts off. We'll remove the wheel, and we'll get started. There we go. So I like to tuck this underneath the car, just in case anything were to happen. Now that the wheel is off, the first thing I'm going to do is remove the retention spring from the brake pads. Okay, tucked way back in here are the bolts that are keeping this caliper on. That unfortunately the breaker bar is too big, so I'm going to get a smaller socket drive to see if that'll do it. That is on there. Okay, there's one. And gotta find the other. There we go. All right, this is not gonna fit, so I'm gonna have to get an 18mm wrench. Be right back. Okay, a shorter socket will allow me to get back behind here. All right, here's the other bolt. All right. Now there's a little retention, a rubber retention ring. I'm going to get a pick so I can pull that off, and then the rotor should slide off. It's kind of amazing that this rotor is kept on with just a rubber gasket. All right. All right, with a bit of work, we were able to get those off. Yeah, these are in rough shape. I'm just going to go ahead and, this is the pads for the e-brake assembly. I'm just going to use a wire brush to clean everything off as best as I can. Now before I clean and assemble the new rotor, I'm actually just going to apply some grease to the back plate here so that we don't run into that stickiness if we ever have this car long enough to have to manage to do this again. Just to make sure there's no crud from the factory left on these brakes, I'm just going to give them a quick spray with brake cleaner while they're in the bag to contain the mess. I'll wipe that down and we'll slap these rotors on. All right, we'll put the new rotors on. We'll put the retention ring back in place. And now we'll take care of the brake pads. So the brake pads will just pop right out. Look at that. Absolutely nothing left. With the old brake pad still in place, I'm going to use a clamp to get the piston retracted to accommodate the fresh pads. Now we will pop the new pads in. All right, with the pads in place, we're going to slip this over the new rotor and pop it into place. We'll get the new bolts on and we'll put the clips back on. Okay, with the bracket nuts cinched down to 89 foot-pounds, I did it off camera, but I used a torque wrench to ensure the right level of pressure on that bolt. Now I'll get the new retention clips in place and we'll put the wheel back on. Now your brake kit should come with a retention clip like this, a brand new one. So we'll go ahead and put that in place. There we go. All right, the last step is getting the wheel on and torquing the lug nuts back to 130 foot-pounds. Now I'm going to get these relatively tight while the car is elevated. And then I'm going to finish torquing these to spec once I get the tire on the ground. Otherwise, the wheel is just going to spin. Now, I like to go in a kind of a star pattern. So I'll tighten this lug, I'll move down to this lug, move over to this one, hit this one, and then finally I'll hit the bottom lug here. And that way, we ensure an even distribution of pressure across the wheel. Okay, so I'm going to lower this and we'll torque it to spec. And that's it. So I hope you didn't find this as intimidating as it might seem. It's really not a difficult process and doesn't take that long. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks.